Hi, sweet people. It is your host, Madeline Joy, with the Love God, Love People podcast. And this episode, we're talking about people pleasing. Because, fun fact, this is my second time recording the episode because the first one I fully recorded, and I think that there were some things that the Lord told me to not say. So sometimes the Lord humbles you in saying that you're doing too much, and He definitely told me that I was doing too much. So, for this week's fun fact, I'm just going to tell y'all about a book I'm reading, which is called The Body Keeps Score. It is a very, very good book, and it's meant for psychologists and people that desire to be in the mental health space, and that makes perfect sense because I desire to be in the mental health space. I'm deciding whether it's higher education or if it's to be a counselor or a therapist, but in any role, I aspire to be helping people with navigating real life problems. So the plan is grad school, if that's within the Lord's will, which it looks like that's the next step that the Lord's having me take. And then from there, figuring out what the next step is. So that's my little fun fact for this week. The scripture that I'm going to base my episode off of is Colossians chapter 3, verses 23 through 24. And it says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all of your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving." So, that helps me understand with people pleasing that the intention of this Christian life, the intention of my life, what I believe, is that my life is built upon making Jesus happy. It's not built upon making people happy. And so there is a certain level of grace and wisdom that we must use in order to navigate, trying to hurt somebody, because there's a lot of questions to ask ourselves when we are navigating our relationships. But the main thing that I believe to help yourself understand if you're people pleasing is this to satisfy the needs of others, and am I putting their needs above my own? And especially, am I putting their needs and my needs above Jesus's? Because the first and main priority is Jesus, and then it's ourselves, and then it's others. And so that sounds weird to say, like, oh, we're going to put ourselves above others. But in order to care more for others, you must know that you were able to be cared for. And that relationship between you and Jesus is the most important. And then once you get the abundance of that, then you pour out all of the love that you receive from God to others, because it's just so overwhelming when you feel it. It's just something that is beyond explanation, beyond words. So your girl just looked up what people pleasing really means. And according to AI, which is very interesting to say now, people pleasing is a tendency to prioritize the needs of others over one's own, often at the expense of one's own well-being. So basically, people pleasers might have a strong need to belong. They might be overly concerned with keeping others happy. They may have difficulty setting boundaries. They may fear rejection or disappointing others. They may have difficulty making independent decisions, and they might seek approval and validation from others. Well, you know what's funny? We all experience valuing others' opinions. And so for me, I value God's opinion. I value my parents' opinion. I value my sister's opinion. I value my friend's opinion. That's very important to me. What's hard is that when we go to heaven, the only opinion that God is going to look at is, one, his own, and then two, the decisions that we made. Nobody can ultimately make the decision for us. Talking about light things, I'm just talking about going left or right, you choose to do that. I understand that some people will argue with that thought. I just mean from the basis of having a life where you are able to make decisions. With me being in college, that if I decided not to go to class, that decision is on me. And so with understanding with people pleasing, you have to ask yourself, what are your goals and how are you going to get there? And is everybody going to agree with the decisions that you make to get to your goal? So, for example, Maddie and me, it's third person, I was going to say, I enjoy making others happy. I enjoy cooking for others. That's just, acts of service is one of my love languages. I enjoy quality time with others. And so if I'm not able to hang out with somebody, if I'm unable to do something, it makes me feel as if I'm disappointing others. It makes me feel that I'm not belonging. So here's an example. I have currently been just kind of dizzy, and so it kind of is taking away from my ability to practice and run, because if walking is a challenge, then running is going to be a whole nother can of worms. And so the Lord has me resting because he felt that I believe I was doing too many things at once and trying to juggle all these things, which is funny because in my burnt out episode, I was talking about juggling all these things and the Lord sat me down real quick. However, I was just frustrated with having to rest, which is something that I know I need and something that I know that the Lord requires me to do, but it's because I'm concerned what other people would think if I take off of practice. I don't want them to think that I'm just being lazy. I don't want them to think that I'm just doing this because I just want a break. Like, honestly, Thanksgiving break right now is almost around the corner to where I could push through another week, but that wouldn't be honest of me. That would drive me more into the ground by lying to others to make them happy versus being honest with what's going on with me, which is me being dizzy and me being having very, very big difficulty just focusing on things and having difficulty walking. And so with knowing that I need to rest and that's something that is better for my soul and for my energy, sorry, y'all, I just had a little brain fart. But with knowing that that's better for my soul and my energy, that I understand that that's something that is going against my people-pleasing nature. That normal me would love to make sure that I'm good. Normal me would make sure to love that others are better and doing well. But the relationship with God, he said, Maddie, I need you to sit down. I need you to rest. And it was hard for me because I was concerned with what others' opinions would feel like. And I had that strong confidence or strong feeling that I needed to make sure that other people felt a certain type of way of thought of me highly in this aspect because I didn't want them to think indifferent. And I think that's what is a stem of people pleasing, is that when you go into the spiral of what will people think if I do this, what will people think if I do this, that shows that you're not concerned for yourself. That shows that you're concerned for others. And so also assess when the Lord is telling you to just stay still, to just do what you need to do for you and his relationship, because that's the most important relationship, is you and Jesus. And so that's why he asked for us to focus on him first, because when we focus on him first, he'll lead us to the right people. He'll lead us to the right situations. He'll lead us to the right scenarios. However, sometimes it requires us to not make everyone happy, because we can't make everyone happy. And that's the nature of a people pleaser. It's you want to make sure that everyone's happy at one time. And I was listening to this podcast the other day, and it was this preacher talking about how when he preaches, he's preaching to hundreds of people. And so with knowing that the message is to be a general message, that somebody in that process is going to get offended and somebody in that process is going to enjoy what he preached about. And so with knowing if there's several people that you're trying to make happy with different experiences of life, with different understandings of the world, with different religions, with different parents, different siblings, different friends, how do you expect to make all of them happy if they have different expectations, one of you, and different expectations of themselves? And so when the Lord allowed me to see that and hear that, I was distraught. I honestly was just not confused, but I was just amazed at the fact that I'm over here trying to people please all these people in my life and make sure that their needs are better, but they're not living the experiences that I'm living. They're not hearing the things that I'm hearing. They're not with me 24/7. The only person that's with me 24/7, or the only being, let me say, that is with me 24/7 is God, is Jesus Christ. And so with knowing that, it's that I need to understand that me and Jesus are good. And when he asks me to do something, it's me and him. We should be Jesus pleasing, not people pleasing. And that's hard to do. Because first you just need to know what Jesus' voice sounds like, which that's for another episode. And so some things that the Lord asks you to do are going to be scary. It's not going to make sense to others. So if you want to make faith moves, if you want to make big moves, it's not always going to be people pleasing. And that's something to note and something to know and something to have confidence in. And for me, I know that I'm going to want to make sure that everyone's good until the day I die, because God has given me an empathetic heart. I truly do believe that. However, sometimes it can grow into being too much, where I need to know that Jesus comes first and others come second. And so something that I'm going to try to practice is just trying to assess if I'm doing if I'm doing what's good for my growth. If it's stunting my growth and it's to make others happy, then I shouldn't be doing it. So for me, it's okay. I know I need to rest, and the Lord sat me down this week, and I want to practice with my teammates, but that would be dishonest, and I would just be making sure that they're good. And so I said, okay, Lord, I'm going to sit out. And this sucks. It's annoying, but it's something that's for my benefit. And so know that you're so loved, and that if you're a people pleaser like me, join the club, but let's not stay in the club. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just get out of here and let's be better and figure out what's best for our lives. However, if you're not a people pleaser, please give me tips, because I love how you were concerned about yourself and you're confidently walking in that. And there's a thin line, because some people are just mean. They just say no to everything. There's a balance between that. Like, we don't need to say, like, just not care about people's feelings, because they're very important. But finding that balance of, okay, yes, people's needs are very important. Am I neglecting my needs to make sure they're okay? Or am I also able to make sure my needs are met and their needs are met as well? How can we come to a negotiation? How can we come to a compromise? So just know that you're loved, and that people pleasing is definitely universal. And just to take small steps in order to make sure that you're good so that you can make sure others are better. But don't neglect yourself in the process. As always, love God, love people.